that iFocus has taught me. More you learn, more you grow. More you share, more you have opportunities to grow your capacity and enhance your country's overall skill base. So the sharing of the knowledge is more like a service to the nation to me. So I have sent a few questions a couple of hours ago. If the moderator can share those questions on the screen, that will be great. Can
okay, sir.
Questions on the screen, please. So you are seeing the questions, right? So I would like you to take a minute and answer those questions. Okay. So are you currently working in an IT industry? Okay. One. And do you have your own laptop or a PC? Right. And third question is, are you familiar with cloud technologies? Fourth question is, do you know something about the DevOps technologies already? And the fifth question is, if given choice, are you ready to volunteer and deliver a few interesting videos for Career Connect on what you are learning or what you want to learn? You can take the help of the mentors like me. Okay. And those are the questions. Please take a minute and send the responses. If we have the responses already, we can get started in a minute. Right. I just need another thing. If you have stats already, how many of you are just currently students only and not employees already? Any rough idea? Neelam or Aparna or anybody? Okay. I saw Bunny saying he's a student. Everybody can write their response. A couple of students already. 80% of students. Wow, that's good. Just a second. Tarvat istan. Sorry for the interruption. Okay. So, yeah, good number of you are students, it seems, which is good. Which gives me a direction where to steer. Okay. So I want to run this session more like a Q&A, and it's a running notes. I did not prepare any deck for this, and this is going to be a live deck that you're going to see. Okay. So without further ado, let me share the screen. So can you enable sharing screen ability for me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So somebody is recording this, right, already? Or?
Yes, sir. It's on live on YouTube, sir.
Even recording. Okay. Great. Right then. All right. Whenever you can see the screen, you can tell me. Able to see the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
some folks are waiting. Who can actually admit them? So there, you guys are taking, right, to admit the new members, correct?
Yes, sir, we can do.
Okay, great, awesome. So just a little bit about myself. My name is Shekhar Ivani, and I currently work as Vice President in Broadridge. Broadridge is a worldwide, MNC, and it serves most of the Fortune 500 companies, and we are masters in some of the key financial products and the software solutions for those financial products actually. And trillions of dollars gets processed through our applications every day. And I had the cloud engineering and cloud architecture part of the wing in India, part of the Broadridge. And yeah, it's my pleasure to share what I know within the time given, and I'll help you to answer whatever that I know in this time. Okay, so today's topic is cloud and DevOps. Okay. Sorry for the pause, guys. So it will be more like a running deck, as you're going to see. Okay. So first thing, so I think some of you might have heard about cloud in some way. There are jokes like cloud technology is something to do with the real clouds, right? There were jokes published in magazines where if somebody says that all my data is going to be on cloud, they're worried what happens if it rains, right? So what happens if it rains? Does it do anything to the clouds, cloud technology? Anybody? You can write in the response in the chat. If you may not be able to respond to, right? Power. Somebody said power. Right. Cloud technology is an interesting name. So it need not have to be cloud technology, right? So what used to happen earlier times, as you might have seen in older days, what used to happen is people used to store their data and host their applications. All these kind of things they used to do in something called a server. Okay, a server used to host your data, your applications, all these kind of things. So it used to, if you want to host a series of files, your resumes, your marks, your various kind of things. All those type of things, you may have things like file servers. You may have things like application servers, various different kind of things. It may be a file server, just host the files only, or you may have a mail server. So that is actually going to have your mails, whatever the kind of incoming and outgoing mails that are going to be there, those are going to stay there. Print server, maybe you're going to have your print facilities or print related queue of requests are going to come and being processed there, or whatever different kind of things. Likewise, you may have network servers. Maybe your network related management is going to be taken care by some kind of a network server. You may have the DHCP server, DNS server, different kind of things there. Routing used to take place and things like that. You may have application server. right? And you may also have web server, things like that. You may have different kind of servers that are out there. So you may also have things like, database server. So just that used to, host the database. So their database software is installed on that server, and that's how it is database server. Or you may have an ERP server. ERP server is, ERP software is installed on that server, and that is used to host the server, that service and all things like that. You may have a CRM server. You may have different type of, so these are all like, what these are like, in your typical software, there are like servers. What is a server? If you go to a restaurant and there is someone called server, what he does, he serves. What does he serve? Whatever that you request, he serves or she serves, right? So there are like servers. So these servers, if I am a big company and I am serving a lot of customers, say I'm a banking company and I serve my customers in terms of, helping them deposit money or withdraw their money or apply for loans or, invest in some stock, various kind of things. And probably for that to happen, what should be there? I should be maintaining an application, a web application. So that application is hosted in my application server, web server. And I give an address to that. And that address is what I share. Say I'm a www.standardcharter.com or bankofamerica.com or ICICI.com or something like that. So there are different type of sites to which people can log into and do their transactions. So these are all servers. And I used, if I in the days of 80s and early 90s also, I have my office and I also have a server room. In the server room, there are like these servers, right? These servers are what would serve you with whatever the request that you ask. I want to withdraw my money from X account. So I log in and I withdraw, and that's the request that's served by the server. Or I want to deposit, I want to do any kind of online transaction, things like that. So what happened is these servers, as you kept on adding more and more, because you have more and more transactions, more and more customers adding, more and more types of transactions adding, more and more types of information you started keeping, all these kind of things started happening, right? So your demand for the server's efficiency has grown over the years. And the costs also. So you need to add more memory, you need to add more capacity, more computing power, all these type of things happen. So if I have set up a server of say, some 128 gigabyte RAM and so multi-quad core kind of a processor, a type of server, and that server is reaching its maximum when a splurge of requests keep on hitting the server. What happens then? You start adding additional servers, and then what happens with that server? You add one more server, and then then what you do is you probably add one load balancer to that one. So that means you may have a common address you may be giving, and that address you're going to say you're going to have two servers, right? And these two servers are going to be given some kind of a common logical name. As requests keep hitting the server, right? As requests keep hitting the server, more and more and more and more servers kept on coming in here, and they used to be shared between these two servers. If it grows more, you'd add one more server, you'd add one more server, you'd add one more server, like that. Keep on adding more and more servers as your demand for server keeps growing, right? So what happens? Eventually you run out of your space in the server room, and Now you start seeing that there is a need for many other things to also coming in. That means your network capacity also should grow. It's not just server means just a server box. There is a rack that sits next to that where you keep adding your memory, your hard disks. Keep on adding one more disk, like that. You keep adding, and once in a while your machine, your one of your servers fails out of overheat, or maybe due to wear and tear or whatever various kind of reasons. Then you have to replace that from the respective stack and add one more thing. Then you have to bypass that to the other server to function serve those requests and things like that. So this model is capital expense. Capital expense means the expense that you're putting upfront on your infrastructure kind of things. They're sitting there forever. Or once in a while, every 3-4 years, your hardware keeps evolving to the next version, and it becomes outdated. Then you have to replace it with a newer server, and you also have to install newer version of the software. You see, there's a Windows 2008 server, then 2010 server, then 2011 server, like that. You keep on upgrading your server software, also the operating system on the server, as well as the other softwares that you keep on adding. All those things you keep on maintaining right through, and your expenses kept on growing. So then there is the middleware that came in between, which is called data centers. So hey, you're a big company, you have like dozens of your database administrators, network administrators, system administrators are working to keep up your business 24/7 on. And let me actually outsource that work for you, and here I am, and I'll sign up for you that this is going to be absolutely confidential. Your data is not going to be leaked. You're going to just be fine by signing up, by giving us this contract. So I can spare a series of racks just for you exclusively, and all your software or other type of things are going to be hosted on my data center and in these racks. And once in a while, I provide you reports of how things have been running, what are failures, what are the reasons behind the failures, how frequently I kept on adding more and more memory. That became an interesting business. So there are like several data centers, shops open, everywhere. Now, even the demand in the world has grown even further and further and further. So there is like big data. There is so much of data keep on generating. So many newer applications coming in. Even the mobile is also, putting its own pressure on the servers. In order to hit a website, it may be a CNN.com, or it may be timesofindia.com, or it may be any kind of website. All this is like adding additional hits onto the respective server. So the limited size of the data centers are also not enough. So what it caused then, you have to see the next level of evolution in this. So now, not only that actually. So for example, your data center is hosted in, say, a data. Your servers are placed in a data center in, say, in Mumbai, and some floods took place in the data center, where is in a risk of losing power shortly, and even hardware also probably going to get affected, for whatever the reason. Then what is your plan to recover from the disaster? So then you have to have one more data center somewhere else, where you have exact replica of all these servers out there, and these two are always communicating, and the remote location, the other servers in the other data center, they are also going to have the replica of this, and they are always in sync and always ensuring that you are prone, you are agnostic of any natural disasters or other kind of disaster that are not in the in control of the human beings. So that actually added one more need for additional data centers, right? So this is how the need for servers kept on growing. And that is where the evolution of the cloud came. So what happened at that point is the big guys with really, really, really deep pockets, they started thinking about, I am already hosting, my data kept on growing, and I see there is a possibility that others are also in the same boat, and they are also going to have the same challenge. And I am accommodating my requests, my customers' requests. Say I'm Amazon, and I am running my Amazon online business, and I have every day millions of users hitting my website and buying things or shopping or surfing through various products and all that. And day by day, as the demand kept growing, I kept adding more and more servers. And one fine night, I got an idea that, hey, let me make this a business. I am running anyway a huge data center. Let me make even humongous. I'll make it really, really, really massive. And I may be running this in 5-acre space. Now let me buy a whole village and set up a huge data center and offer other kind of people where they have to run their business. Their servers also I'll host, and I'll buy the hardware, or I'll prepare custom hardware, custom servers, and that is what will serve a lot many other businesses, maybe banking business, insurance business, trading business, maybe media, entertainment, all the different kind of businesses I can serve, because I'm not just the online shopping guy. I am also a guy who helps you serve you with hardware. And how it happens, how I run my business. You are paying bills to your electricity every month. You are paying bills to your telephone every month. You are paying bills to gas consumption. All the different kind of things, subscription based, right? As much as you consume, so much only you'll pay. For your milk guy, for your electricity guy, telephone guy, newspaper guy, all these guys, and as much as you consume, so much only you're paying. If I turn this into that model, see, my hardware is going to be there. Some customer X comes and he needs the servers just for a few days. Maybe the Olympics are going, and a car company may just want the cars to be advertised during the Olympic season. After that, I don't want that company may not want to run those advertisements. But in order to serve those advertisements online, they need, say, hundreds of servers. Because everywhere, wherever they hit on the Olympics website, or see that on YouTube, or whenever it is, different places, it needs to be served through some server, right? So I don't want to just buy hundreds of servers just for that season and then put them back in the store. By the time next Olympics happens, these become outdated, and it's absolute waste of investment for me. So here is where the cloud providers coming into picture. They maintain, they purchase, and they have thousands and thousands and thousands, not even thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of servers out there. They are loaned temporarily and given back, and only they charge for the amount of time they use. So this is where the unique selling point of cloud business came. So they called it cloud for whatever the interesting reason. So basically, these are data centers on rent at a high level. Data centers, massive data centers on rent. So that's, with that, what happened is, is that enough if I run the data centers at one place, I am in New York and I can just, is it enough if I say, hey, I am running a huge data center that is spreading spanning across several villages. And if that, God forbid, if that place actually is subject to some kind of a natural disaster, how am I going to survive? All my business is going to go down. So what it should have, presence into multiple parts of the world, right? It should be in, say, if it is in US, it may not need to. It should be in one in East Coast, one maybe in West Coast. If something happened in East Coast, that should be in West Coast. And if a business is not just in East Coast, West Coast, and my business is also in Europe, I need some data centers in Europe. I have my business running 24/7, and I need some servers in, say, Russia, maybe some other places in Europe, because they need some other kind of policies to be adhered to, and some other places in Asia, like India, Hong Kong, Singapore, and maybe there's Australia, and then subsequently Africa joined into the game, and then Africa I need some more, and then South America also I need some more, and I kept on adding these data centers everywhere actually. So each of them, they are like huge data centers everywhere. Is that enough? Those data centers are sitting by themselves and they are just isolated locally? No. All of them needs to be connected, correct? If they are connected, for example, when east goes down, west is up, okay? And my other things are like, my all of the data centers are also, my business is 24/7. And not only just in US, I need the data center to be available in Europe time zone, also Europe also, and so all these things are connected, right? This is called the backbone network of the cloud. What is it called? Backbone network, right? So the backbone network, what it does, it actually ensures that you have your business of various kinds, that can be hosted on the cloud with complete, guarantee of their availability, 24/7 and all this kind of thing. So this is some kind of a the backbone network that is allowing you to connect all these kind of things, right? So what this made is, it made it more and more available and vastly available, and this is quite good enough for your kind of business, right? So if you want only your business to be available in a specific region, you can take that kind of subscription. If you want your business to be available, in 2 regions only, maybe in Americas and Asia Pacific only, then Asia Pacific only, or all these different kind of things, right? So those are all becoming possible. There's something maybe in your Japan also. Here, Japan, there's one more center, and like this, your backbone network is basically serving your need across the spread of the world, basically. So that's the second stage of in the evolution of the cloud, basically. So there are data centers that have been connected through a very high speed network. This is not the regular internet network. They themselves have been they're like cross continent, across the sea kind of cables. These are some of these very high speed networks, and they're always available. And they are tying up with not just that nearest connection point. They started working with local network providers also. From the local network providers, they're connecting to the nearest data centers also. So within the data center also, say, there are several zones, several rooms, server rooms. So if power went down for one server room, it should not be simply down for the entire region, right? So there is room number 1, and there are several in the data center, and there is another room number 2. So these are exact replica of room number 1 and room number 2 have same kind of servers. And if the power supply to this is gone, this is always available. Both these are connected and both these are always in sync. Okay. So imagine these data centers running hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of servers. It means they're generating so much of heat. If you don't cool those down, it can simply burn the entire room within no time. So such an amount of heat it generates. So what should happen? They need a lot of cooling also. So they set up cooling towers or cooling plants right next to these the data centers also. So what it does, it cools down this racks and racks and racks of servers through the cooling network. And that's how, some of these innovations also took place, that some of these data centers have been set up in the deep oceans also, just so that those are more in a cooler environment. So far, the way we have seen is, we have seen that, the need for cloud, how, from server rooms to data centers to cloud providers, and cloud providers also spreading their wings, their network across the world, through very, very powerful networks, and how those are serving, how those are being in sync to their backbone network and serving various businesses, right? The cloud business generally guarantees that our availability is 99.99999% available, like that they say. It's like that basically means out of millions of possibilities, there is very remote possibility that a certain server goes down. So that's what they are trying to guarantee. So that means all those servers that we talked about, most of those servers, they will be available in cloud. So that is business model number one, where just there are servers where you host your application. There are also other kind of servers where you don't need to even buy your programming language environment or programming language. So for example, if you are a C# developer, your company works Microsoft based development, and they use a lot of these Microsoft tools. See, the Microsoft Visual Studio IDE, it costs something like $10,000 or something for an enterprise license. It's like fortune of money you keep on spending for a handful of licenses. And if you want to accelerate your development, you need to have more licenses. If you keep on spending dollars on these licenses, you run out of money very quickly. It's not the most ideal. So there are architectures that developed that break down the kind of these dependencies, and more API-based developments, more and more script-based developments. All these evolved over the time. Maybe that's a topic for us in some other session. But what happens is you basically give the programming environment also as a service. So basically, you write your code and you deploy the code in the integrated development environment provided by cloud itself. You don't need to go and install the Visual Studio IDE or Eclipse or any other Ruby or few other type of things on your machine. You can directly run those pieces of logic or programs on the cloud itself in their server, and you can deploy that also, test also and deploy also, and project that as an API. API means a piece of functionality, application program interface they call. Basically, that is nothing but a piece of functionality available as a callable service, basically. So that API is given an address. That address is what you call supplying your inputs. Say, for example, you want to find the value of a stock, maybe stock value of Bank of America, or, Apple, or Microsoft, or something like that. So you give the stock ticker, the name, and it will give the price, the stock value of that at this point of time. Or you give zip code or a pin code in case of India of a place, and another API gives the temperature currently. Things like that. The APIs are like that piece of functionality hosted in some server and having an address. That address is how you allow people to access it for their development or for their business place. So even that is also made possible through cloud. So you have your cloud offering not just to store your files. You can store your files. You can store your applications in web servers or application servers. You can store your databases where you store all your transactional data, store and retrieve, and very different ways. You can store warehouses of data. Warehouse is another bigger, massive kind of database of a different kind. So, years and years and years of worth of data related to the business is hosted there, and all that business, business data is available for you to basically query, find the insights, and take business decisions based on that, the trends and the behaviors of the business, behaviors of the customers, all the various kind of things typically used to be fetched through the warehouses. So that actually further went beyond, and there is a thing called big data, and even further, Internet of Things and all these things kept on adding more and more data to the world, and they need somewhere to store all those values, right? So the IoT data that's coming from maybe some thermometer somewhere, or some monitoring tool somewhere, or some car, or some Uber car, or various kinds of things. And all these are different sources. All those are pumping data into some server, and all the data is going to be used to understand the behavior of a user, or a customer, or a community, or whatever it is. So all this is actually making it even more dependent on the flexible or pay-as-you-go kind of servers. So that's where the need is established. I think we are what time is it right now? 7:50. I think I ate up a lot of time just in evolution itself. But I hope I'm not boring you guys. Those folks who already know it. So apologies for taking your time in explaining something that you already know. But I think others might have enjoyed what it is. So going to the next one, where we talk about providers. So who are providing let's talk about the leaders at least, right? The leader currently is Amazon Web Services, they call it. See, you know what? Amazon, do you think Amazon is earning a lot of money in their online shopping? They're actually at loss in online shopping. They are making money, huge amount of money in this AWS business, the cloud business. See, the funder for their business is AWS more than the other one. So all over the world, in most cases, because AWS has been the leader in this, there are more and more, and one of the early guys who realized the power of this, and that's where embraced lots and lots and lots of things. So if we have subsequent session where I can explain, what are various areas they provide these services. Maybe later on in this session itself we can go on that one. Then there is Microsoft, of course, right? These guys with huge pockets, deep pockets. Then there is Google, coming with Google Cloud Platform. Google. And Microsoft's version is called Azure. Microsoft. right? There are other players also, and specific players also. There used to be Pivotal, and still there, and its own. They are specialists in their own right, and but they are the order in which the world is running right now, as far as the providers, cloud providers are concerned, are some of these. I just mentioned only three. There are like dozens. You like to see how it actually, how these providers are competing, in which areas, respect each of those are strong, and how are they taking over with respect to pricing, with respect to more and more niche services. You have all the variety kind of service. You want to build a bot. They have like really ready-made environment. You don't need to sweat a lot. They're reading through reams of books or exploring. They have like, they go want to create a bot. Click on that AI related bot kind of server, and you can get it. You want to just sieve through a bunch of files, and you have like application forms, right? Different kind of application forms are there. I just want to get all the data sieved through and stored into my database. And there is like some text track service or some kind of ETL service. There is some media, that where you want to host all your media files. There is a media server. If you want your artificial intelligence or machine learning, you want a server that actually hosts your machine learning algorithms as services. So you host, or you point one server to host your data, and you point to this algorithm services, hook them up, and it gives a result. You, without knowing the ABC of the ML, you start projecting yourself an ML engineer just by hooking these things up, and knowing at a high level, what this ML algorithm does. Most of the ML experts, so-called experts that you see in the market, are they are actually implementation guys, not really the guys who actually build the algorithm itself. That really somebody should be called ML engineer when one builds the machine learning algorithm himself, or be able to go tweak an algorithm for his results, kind of guys. So, the other thing is what is being more popular these days. So, have an idea about that. So likewise, an augmented reality server, or secret storage, or various, name it, dozens and dozens of dozens of categories are already there, and each category has its own way of services. And sitting without anything, just a dumb terminal at your home, you're able to spin up a business, spin up a data center for you in minutes, and turn on your business, and maybe after a couple of weeks you decide to destroy it in a matter of minutes, and you only pay for those 2 weeks, and you're done with it. So that's the kind of power that cloud enabled you. So obviously the big guys, the street and small players themselves are using this. The Zomatos of the world, how are they going to serve so many requests? The Ubers of the world, the online shopping guys, all these guys are hosting their services on cloud now. So that, I think, establishes enough for you to understand that there is a huge enough case for cloud's place in the world, obviously. So it's undeniable, it cannot be replaced. And if you are still going about building your own server in the corner room of your office, I think you're an old timer, obviously, right? So that's how fast the cloud technology has grown. And if you are running your own data center, obviously you have to buy your hardware. You keep on upgrading it every 3 years, or 3, 4, 5 years. You have to keep upgrading your licenses, keep buying those licenses. You keep on maintaining you keep on taking the backups of that. You keep on taking care of the network issues and all that stuff by yourself. Whereas the cloud provider is guaranteeing all these things, right? So that sort of sets the anchor for you that undeniably cloud has its own strong position. So what happens, obviously? So if I'm a business and I'm not yet migrated to cloud, I can be seen as a caveman, right? And why? I may be claiming that I'm securing my data, or my applications are in my control and all that stuff, but you are very clearly not able to serve or scale for next million customers. Imagine there may be a million customers willing to hit your site, but because you're limited in terms of serving capacity, obviously you have to limit your business also. So that also is another reason why you have to go there. And with mobiles and online way of doing everything, even the learning also became online. So you're learning something, your Baiju.coms or all those type of things, those are also hosted in some cloud somewhere, right? So this is all what is actually making a serious case for finding a career in cloud. So there are still thousands, not thousands, and more than tens of thousands of companies yet to migrate their business onto cloud. So that gives you enough case that there is a vast opportunity to learn the cloud technologies. So is it enough to just know the cloud then as a server hosting warehouse or go down kind of thing? No, it means you should know how to build applications for cloud. So far you have been building your applications using your own software language, maybe C, C++, C#, Java, Ruby, Python, Node, whatever, and maybe Angular, React, FastAPI, whatever the other type of things for front end and back end, Oracle and SQL Server, or MySQL or Postgre or various other kind of things, or DynamoDB or other type of things. You are building that and you're testing it and you're deploying it in your local server, right? And the method of deploying has been very human intensive so far. For about a couple of years, so for about a decade or so, people started thinking, every time I build an application, see, what happens is when I start my code, I start writing piece of code in this. So say then I keep writing my code, and after writing code, I will compile it, right? I'll compile it, and I'll host it in some other type of server, right? After compiling it, I'll put it in one server, and that server, say it is a test server. So which is going to be tested by, say, another another guy who we call is a tester, right? That tester, say, that tester guy, right? So these testers are going to, so a developer developed it and a bunch of testers tested it and a test server, and then there is in between what is happening, there is another guy who sits and tries to compile this piece of code that I have written, right? So he uses some commands, because I created one file, another guy created another file, another guy created another file. All these things together is making my application. So in order to create the application, I use a set of commands, and that creates some kind of a binary, and that binary is what some kind of an application. That application is what has been hosted in a server. So this guy's business is actually to understand what are various type of things being built and what are various type of commands that I have to use to build those? What are various type of connections between, say, there is this guy who is building the front-end application. There is another guy who is building a database, right? And that database developer actually builds a database specific, commands and database specific objects and things like that. So there are several things going on. There is another guy who just builds the front end. That front end guy builds maybe something in HTML and all, right? And some guy builds some scripts. So these are all supposed to be hosted. These are, some guy creates the front end, some guy creates the middle type, some guy creates the back end. All these things have to build, and they are supposed to. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sorry. Hold on. Where am I? Hello?
Sir.
1 second. So here is where we are, right? So there are several files, several code files that are being built by several developers, right? Several developers, right? Several developers are building these, and each of these developers, building their own module and things like that. Some guy may be a database developer, some guy may be front-end developer, some guy may be build a developer, and these are supposed to be hosted in respective servers. Something may be hosted on a backend server. That is probably that is the database related elements needs to be hosted on backend server. Some things may be hosted on a middle type server, app server, or something like that. Some may be hosted on a front end server, right? So what happens, the guy who actually does these kind of things, they may be doing a web server or something like that. So this guy should know how to build these and where to host, where to put those things, and also how to connect these things. How these are connected also he should be knowing. How these are so there may be connection string sometimes. There may be some other type of API way of connecting, or there may be some other way of connecting through other endpoint, things like that. All those things these guys supposed to know, right? So obviously, this guy needs to know some other kind of tools which does this building and deploying, right? And he actually scripts how these will be built, where these will be deployed, how these are connected, where these passwords and other things supposed to be stored and automatically have to put. He only writes once, and as developers keep on adding these things, automatically these will be built and deployed based on the script this guy has written, and it also automatically places there. After that, actually set of testers come and just hit the web server only and try to test all their code, right? So this guy plays an important role, because large scale deployments for major corporates, if it is a small one hello world application, it's just one file. Imagine the scale that corporates, big enterprises generate their code, lot of different modules and binaries they generate. So that this guy is the guy who we call DevOps engineer. And earlier parts of this was being done by devs. Parts of this was done by somebody called sysops or some other kind of system design engineers and guys like that. So this guy needs to know a bunch of tools. Those tools are going to build and deploy in massive scale. With cloud, what happens is, not every time you log into cloud and you keep on tweaking with servers and manually copying the build files over to respective servers, and if you keep opening the these servers in cloud to so many people, there is a possibility they can do mistakes, manual mistakes. There's also a possibility they can hack, various other kind of things are possible. They may open up leaks. They need to know a lot of these kind of things, how to deploy, how to connect, how to keep certain kind of routes only open, what port should be open, what port should be closed, which way should it be encrypted, decrypted, or certificates to be installed, and all those type of things are there, right? So all this is embedded into a set of tools that are covered under the name DevOps. The DevOps involves actually knowing all those different type of tools that help you to host your code, build your code, deploy your code, configure your installation. It may require several kind of layer by layer installations. There are order of dependencies. First, you have to install the core base dependency. Then there is another. Then on top of that, what are the other dependencies? Like that, that structure and all that also is they'll be knowing. How an application connects to a database, to some kind of connection string, where the connection string is supposed to be stored, where the secret's supposed to store, like passwords and other things, where the metadata is supposed to store. How this is supposed to be, which protocol certain server should be open at which port, TCP, HTTP, HTTPS, all these kind of things, right? Where and how you want to publish your website, in DNS server and all kind of things. So all this knowledge, is necessary as one establish oneself as a DevOps engineer, right? So this is where the evolution of DevOps engineer came, right? So obviously, the cloud technology has grown. Along with that, the ability to deploy them touchless or without needing a human being in the higher environments to deploy those binaries into the target servers also has grown. So that's where the role of the DevOps tools, or DevOps engineer also has grown. So if you are, so that means you should be knowing about cloud way of infrastructure, and DevOps tools and DevOps way to use DevOps tools and things like that. And that's how you start, making your career really bright in this space. So I'll stop here, because then I can keep going, and I just feel the very outer level peel of the onion only. There are so many other things as we go deep into things, but hope this gave some level of understanding to some of you who might not have known some of these. But open for questions.
Yes, thank you, sir. So, participants, you're requested to unmute yourself and you can interact with sir. For any queries, you can come forward.
Sorry, I think I did not notice some of your comments on the run. I was not loud enough, I think. Hopefully, you're able to manage. Okay, so the Santosh asked, right? Could you tell me what are the daily tasks of a cloud engineer? So the cloud engineer is a very generic term. So earlier there were developers, and the developers themselves have turned into, say, cloud engineers now. So you are a developer and you are working in a cloud-based project. What you might be doing, you would be developing as usual, and you're going to host your applications on cloud. You're going to use cloud-specific tools to, develop, deploy, test, and other type of things. If you're a cloud developer and you're a tester, you may be testing out of, so there are other technologies also, like containers and things like that. Those also have, have to take the container where the package has been deployed, and they test it, and then, they report it. And if you're a cloud operations engineer, you may be monitoring all the various types of logs in cloud, using CloudWatch and few other type of tools are there, and Datadog and Domain and many other type of things, network monitoring, cloud logs, flow logs, various other type of logs, and you would be taking necessary actions, or you're configuring certain type of precautionary things. If you're a security engineer, there are lots of things in cloud where you configure what type of firewalls you have to configure, what type of machine learning based things you need to enable to prevent next level hacking. What are some precautions that they have to take? Installing certificates and all these various kind of things, various other kind of things. Okay. So yeah, so very generic term if you just call cloud engineer, but cloud engineer is a generic term, but it has vast sub specifications. Just like the regular development, none of the regular jobs are going away; they are just migrating to cloud ecosystem. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. So just a minute. We are having few updates from the admin team. So
Yes,
after that, we'll continue with our interaction, sir.
Sure.
So yes, as informed before, the session is conducted on behalf of iFocus Mission and Career Connect platform. So we are having a lot more events and lot more activities from our iFocus Mission. So to give an update and announce regarding the events as well as the sessions, we are having our Joint Secretary of iFocus Mission, Rakesh Anaya. Anaya, over to you.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you everyone. First of all, I'm extremely sorry for not turning on the video. Good evening, Shekhar sir, and very good evening all. It was a fantastic session. I was watching on YouTube from the first starting onwards. Of course, you have vast experience in the IT industry. So thank you very much for your valuable time, sir. This session is really helpful for all science and technology people. Even I am a BTech graduate, so it was really helpful for me too. Thank you. Thanks for your time, and thanks for sharing the knowledge also. Coming to iFocus Mission, this session is organized by iFocus Mission. So iFocus Mission mainly focuses on passionate careers and positive lifestyles. So regarding passionate careers sector, we have thousands of professionals like Shekhar sir. Of course, Shekhar sir is a vice president of Broadridge, and we have many science and technology professionals and management and finance professionals and arts and literature experts also, and other, you name any industry, we can find them, those experts in iFocus Mission. So iFocus Mission conducts various workshops on lifestyles and at the same time careers also. So regarding careers, this is one kind of Career Connect program is a regular program which we organize various sessions every month. Of course, every week we will be having a session from each industry. That means if we have, this time we are organizing a session on science and technology, and next week it could be on communication skills, or it could be on management and finance. So we will be having so many different sessions every month. So if anyone is interested, you can happily associate with iFocus Mission. You can follow our social media pages. At the same time, we have our YouTube channel. Today's session is also published on our YouTube channel. At the same time, as said earlier, we have many professionals, thousands of professionals in science and technology itself. So this is one kind of session we are having in the next week itself. OKR, Objectives and Key Results Model. So this is a paid session. Sir, paid session by Surendra Tipparaju garu. Of course, he is a director of Microsoft Artificial Intelligence Wing. So he is taking the session. It would be a 1 hour session, 7 to 8:30. 1 hour would be the main session, and next half an hour would be for Q&A. So if anyone is interested, if it would be helpful to anyone, you can refer them. And also you can happily join if you feel it would be helpful to you also. And coming to the association of iFocus mission, it needs to know many things from iFocus mission. That means you can follow our pages FB and Insta to know more about iFocus mission, or you can contact our admin team phone numbers if you require any clarity on what iFocus mission actually does. So you can follow us on our FB. If you need more clarity, you can contact us on our personal numbers. But we have many things, many professionals, many businessmen, and students also. Everyone comes under single platform. So we are for the past 16 years onwards, we have spread across the country, and in this pandemic, we have reached to other countries also. And thanks to this pandemic time, it helped us to reach. It helped us to go to every village, and no need to come to iFocus mission physically. We are reaching everyone by joining at their home itself with the help of Zoom. So iFocus mission is doing lots of things in careers and lifestyles also. Stage 1 workshop of iFocus mission will be organized on every Monday. That is called Panchtantra. So if you want to start your journey with iFocus mission, you can start with this stage 1 workshop. And of course, after this workshop, you will be having many benefits. You can get in touch with senior professionals, junior professionals across any industry. So this is just a sample of iFocus mission. So to know more about iFocus mission, you can follow our social media pages. At the same time, you can contact us at our iFocus mission office phone numbers. They are posted in our chat box itself, or else you can note down the phone numbers that are displaying on the flyer. Thank you very much. Over to host.
Yes, thank you, Anaya. Thank you so much. So regarding all the activities, we have got the details. So if any queries regarding the activities or regarding our iFocus mission details, you can communicate us through the details given in chat box so that we can clarify your doubts. So thank you for announcements. And if anyone are having any queries regarding the session, you can come forward or you can post in the chat box so that sir could answer to your queries. You can even directly unmute yourself and you can answer to the questions. Or you can raise your hands question.
I'm seeing some questions in chat box. 1 second, let me look at it. So question that I saw is, if I learn DevOps tools, then I will become a DevOps engineer, but I want to become cloud engineer. Is it mandatory to learn all DevOps tools? Please clarify. So there are several DevOps tools. You can be specialist in specific DevOps tools on. You need not have to learn everything. Say, for example, if you are a container specialist, container technology itself has grown. So containers are Docker containers, Kubernetes containers, Mesosphere, and there are a range of things in that space. Container technology itself has its own kind of intricacies, complexities, and all the things like that. So managing clusters, managing managing the pods, how you configure those, how you plan to deploy, say your different kind of deployment strategies are there. Say, for example, there is a very busy site where transactions are happening, and you need to make a newer version deployment. You would not just switch off, or you would not stop all your servers and deploy it. You have some kind of strategy. There is like a set of servers that are deployed, another set of servers that are going to be off online, and once these have been deployed, these have been verified that these are working fine, these are brought online and others are taken down, and these kind of things. You cannot afford to like have hundreds of servers in this scenario. Also, there is further evolution in the servers technology called containers. The container is a virtual construct of server, so a mini environment, logical environment construct, where all the dependencies required to deploy specific application has been defined in that construct. And that's one kind of technology. So you can become a container specialist, you can become a configuration management specialist, maybe Ansible, Chef, Salt, these are different type of configuration management specialties. Also can become an expert, or you can become an IAC expert. IAC is infrastructure as code. So far you have been writing code for your programs, right? Now you start writing code for your infrastructure also. Say, I need one database server with this kind of configuration, with this amount of memory, with this type of root, and with this type of credential, with this type of extension of memory, with each threshold. All these type of things you are writing like a piece of code, and taking this as a piece of code, the cloud provider takes this like piece of instructions, and automatically he spins up the respective kind of server for you and reserves it for you. Entire sequence of servers and connections, networks, firewalls, installations, all these things is piece of code. It is no longer like earlier what used to happen, these are all in mails, and some network guy or system admin guy used to go forward and used to purchase those, put those in the rack, and then install those things, and then he used to say, hey, your server is ready, go forward, use it. No longer like that. Your inventory is in a piece of code, like some kind of a YAML or JSON type of code, where you mention, just like your regular commodities list. I need 2 kgs of lentils, 3 kgs of cashew, and like that. Likewise, you mention the specifications of your hardware, in JSON like structure, and automatically cloud provider looks at that piece of code and arranges that type of infrastructure for you. So that's how, that is an area called infrastructure as code. Infra as code is also an equally powerful area where you can become a specialist. Terraforms, cloud formation, ARM templates, these are different areas under the IAC. So cloud, the containers is one area, the configuration management, where your installations of software and layers of software is another area. Likewise, your IAC is another area. You can become specialist in any of these areas, and you can still be called a DevOps guy. And as you start getting into it, you'll automatically get to know the other interfacing type of technologies also. But you start with one skill, and automatically you'll catch up on the other ones. So it's absolutely possible. You don't need to learn everything. You can still be a specific skill expert in DevOps, and can still get pretty good career options, right? And there is another question that I saw. Can a fresher get a job in cloud DevOps? Freshers have been really, sought after in this space, because you don't come with any kind of baggage, and you learn cloud as if the fresh guy. So you start your journey with cloud as a canvas, and there is each of these cloud providers offer you a free tier. That means without paying any money, you can experiment, and you can deploy, and you can use almost literally most of the services of the cloud. But the only catch is that you need to provide your debit or credit card details in the beginning, and you can configure an alert to you wherever it is trying to reach close to that billing space. So with $0 billed on you, you can continue to have your own cloud account, and you can get away with that one. So that is another interesting option. So freshers absolutely have a great option. And if you are in the middle years of your graduation, I recommend you to start it right away. So you have at least a year or 2 years to play with and have your own type of things. And I strongly request or recommend you to have your own GitLab, GitHub accounts, where you keep adding your pieces of code. When you go to your interviews, you're going to tell, hey, look at my Git. It's free, right? Git is free. So look at my series of projects or my code experiments. This is my URL. In your resume, you put your GitHub projects links, and people would quickly understand that you are a code savvy guy. Obviously. So try that also. So I recommend you, if you're in the middle of your graduation, you start having your own Git account and start creating new code artifacts, right? And another question I saw is the short answer. So the short answer is, with proper training, even a fresher can get a job in AWS DevOps, but it can get difficult without proper training. There's nothing called proper training. There is training. And it's your comprehension and where you start. You have to start somewhere. There's nothing like the perfect training anywhere. It's again, it's not rocket science. Even rocket science is normal science now. End of the day, it is like firing up a fuel tank, and it's something is going out with escape velocity, right? So anyway, so there's nothing called perfect training, but you get trained. Look at so many free resources across the net, and cloud providers themselves are offering very nice set of documentation and videos and all, in their sites as well as in YouTube and other places also. So leverage those, and we can become a good enough expert in those places. What are the use cases for ADF and talent tool? So talent tool and these things are more on the data modification space. So data alteration or data architecting area. So in the current context, these are not related. So data factory, if you are calling about, data factory is one construct that came with Azure, where you can create the services that are wrapped around the data. So you can play with data in different ways, to store, to extract, to modify, and all that kind of things. AI Tech Park SDN. It's more like Venkatramana Maram. He shared his LinkedIn link, it seems. If I have passed AWS certification, can it be more helpful for my resume? Obviously, yes. Try taking a certification. It definitely embellishes your resume, and it gives you, an entry into some of the interviews. Some of the job descriptions mandate having cloud certification, but I don't necessarily say that it's the only way to get there. But keep watching these sites, the Microsoft Cloud site and GCP Cloud site and AWS site. They always offer some kind of free learning events, and in those free learning events, they also open up free coupons to appear to these exams for free, completely free. And you can leverage those and even appear for the certifications without paying even a dime. So that's another way to go attend your certification exams. Even the preparation data, preparation documentation, guides, and all that stuff. Plenty of that you can find in cloud, in the net. So feel free and reach out if needed. How do experienced IT professionals move to cloud DevOps? This is the right moment, right juncture for you to move from the traditional way of IT development to cloud, because That's the reality today. If not today, eventually your application also is going to move to cloud one day, unless it is like super legacy or it's going to be retired somewhere, scrapped somewhere. Otherwise, most of your applications are destined for cloud. So see that you learn the essential cloud skills associated with that. Say it's a 3-tier application that you're working on currently. And how do you build a 3-tier applications in cloud? So start from that and create a hello world and create your own 3-tier application in cloud, and striking similarities between your on-prem to cloud. And then the next step you would look at is what are different kind of migration utilities the cloud provider is providing. There may be a migration wizard to migrate your on-prem data into the cloud database, to migrate your application, your APIs into something like lambdas or functions in AWS or Azure, based on which other provider you talk about. Likewise, your ETL tools on the ground, extract, transform, load, things will have its own new avatars in cloud. You learned, you see the apples to apples kind of comparison, and it takes very minimal time for an experienced developer to map things and be able to get acclimatized. So it's a matter of actually the will and interest to scratch the surface, and you'll be able to quickly match. And I would also recommend to go forward and write your hello world in each of these spaces, so you feel your hands flexing enough in those spaces, and you can make yourself comfortable. So that way you'll be able to tread into the cloud world quite easily. Next one, thank you for clarifying doubt. Can bank clients use cloud platforms to host? Absolutely. Most of the big banks, most big guys, financial institutions are hosting their thing. For example, we are like some 460 financial products we have, and most of those deal with securities, the stock markets, primarily in US and North America and many other places across the world, customer communications and a lot of other kind of things. So information about trillions of dollars passes through our applications. We have like our backend, there are mainframes and other kind of things are also there. And quite a big number of our applications have already moved to cloud. Even the blockchain and other things also are being migrated to cloud, to host their underlying servers, things like that. I'm talking about the hosted blockchains. So like Hyperledger and things like that. So there you mentioned about volunteering for iFocus project collaboration, start of the session. Paul, please give more information. Absolutely. So our hosts can give more detail, but at a high level, what I'm talking about is if you wish to volunteer and create a quick video of your learning out of this Career Connect, we help you to prepare that session of yours. You keep adding your video snippets. Be bold and come forward and upload your learning, what you learned. And before that, do a mock-up with some of the experts or some of the seniors in the Career Connect community. You can reach out to me also. So you can upload as you keep adding more and more and more of these things with your learnings. And on top of that, these have been carefully curated with the help of the expert. And you have your IP sitting on platforms like YouTube and platforms like some blogs and other places. By the time you reach your interview desk, you already are with this type of fame behind you. They have like a dozen videos under iFocus Career Connect, and there are enough visitors, and I have made many lives easier with that. And then that's where where you are helping yourself with the help of Career Connect. That is one. Other one is there are like many micro projects where you might be interested volunteering completely without any kind of expectations, because some experts are spending time on you to embed that knowledge into you. feel free, come forward and connect, and Career Connect and host team can help you guide through, who to connect and what type of projects out there. Like that. So yeah, feel free, Venkat. Akshay, how would be the opportunity for experienced non-IT professionals to move to cloud? Yes, of course. Cloud is based on the way you look at it, it's a fresh beginning for many. It became like like your badminton game. There is a love wall at some point in time. There is love wall for experienced, non-experienced, non-IT, and other guys also. So if you're entering right now, it is better. If you're entering 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line, by the time, cloud is already an established fact. If you're entering now, you already have few months and some level of experience in cloud, and down the line you can actually claim that I have done few things in cloud and I'm comfortable doing certain things and things like that, right? So you can, if you're very experienced, you can probably become a project manager, account manager kind of guy, with decent knowledge of how cloud ecosystem is and how it actually works, and by understanding how an application gets migrated from on-premise to cloud, behind lines, you can actually try to be that guy who actually can orchestrate or can actually help set that project up and run it through successfully until it goes live on cloud. And that way, you can become part of the journey, as well as, you use your project management skills combined with cloud knowledge. So things like that, there are different kind of openings, or you can pick one area which is very niche and special, maybe AI or, in DevOps itself, or things like that. And then you can become a depth expert and find a career there. That is also a nice possibility. But, all depends on your will and your determination to go deep in those spaces. Does this technology and training involve core person who has 7 years non-IT? Sandeep, yes, like I said, it's almost the same answer. If you're non-IT, but if I were you, I would do this thing actually. So I understand how the IT right now and what are my skills. I try to do a map of what are my obvious skills that naturally reflect in the IT field. What are the things that I have to learn, without going extremely onto the other side of the things. So when I have the maps is done, and there are only certain things that I need to add more learning, and my journey to transform into an IT guy becomes easier. And I would not say to jump all of a sudden. I would like you to test the waters without jeopardizing your current job or current profession, and dedicate yourself every day like 3 to 4 hours for several weeks together, and then you find your feet deep enough and comfortable, and you feel confident that you're able to navigate yourself through well, and you have enough network and contacts who would be able to come forward and help you also. With that, I think you can definitely take a shot, and it's not like impossible or difficult. It is very much possible. Not even difficult. Difficult also is the wrong word. 7 years is obviously, you started your career 7 years ago, nothing more than that. That's just a number. So even 10 years ago, also I would recommend this. So it all requires, your risk appetite, your will to, learn, and determinations to stay on the path. Right? Can I have your mobile number? Yeah, why not? I am definitely not a celebrity, so absolutely. I'll share that on the screen. Please be mindful of my availability. I generally am available probably in the weekends, and somehow it's not typing. So maybe our guys can help. Okay. Sharing my number. Somehow I cannot type it on the chat. Thank you. Please share your contact number. Sure. What is your advice for startup companies? Absolutely, startups must start on cloud. I'm clearly advising you. You have zero infra cost if you're starting on cloud. Big guys, I'll tell you, very, very big guys, even the Zomatos of the world, other guys also, they hardly have any investment. They simply leverage the advantage that cloud is offering. You know, and the startup tier is like really, really, zero cost. So you can spin up your micro kind of instances, few of those, and you still not able to run your startup application and all things like that. And you don't need to have your own server and other kind of thing. You want to go to a customer and demo your application. You have your server out there in cloud somewhere, and you can connect at a client location, also at your location, or at a demo location, wherever you want. So take complete advantage of the cloud offers for free tier, I mean, yeah. And I'd advise to go with cloud for startups. That's the best thing you can start. Regarding coding, it involves Sandeep our understanding tools and technology. So unlike the world of coding has changed a lot from decade to decade to decade. See, very early stages in C, C++, and pointers and indirections and pointer arrays or pointers and all that. That's like really messy for someone to get into the coding, and it actually repelled a lot of people from getting into the coding, or some other folks to get more and more excited about looking at the way you represent certain things complexly. So people realize, like everywhere, coding also became even more and more human friendly, and a lot of things have become simpler and easier. So if you are starting coding now, you may not start with C++ or C or anything. You can simply start with Python, and many things have been simpler in coding Python, and you may find it much easier. And don't see coding as something impossible or anything. Just believe that coding is in the DNA of every Indian. So just go with that, and you feel like like writing a small story, or like writing a small article. Writing coding is also that much simpler. Is how you start your mindset, have your mindset with, and then you start finding everything is in its place. And it's all in the way people describe it or confuse it with their poetic expressions, and that's what made certain things look difficult. Of course, there are difficult things because it requires a bit more scratching to get into this, but that what it requires is the way they order the concepts. They build brick by brick by brick, and that's how the concept has to be built. And if the teacher is incapable of putting the right order of teaching and concepts, then it appears difficult and complex. And also on top of that, if your desire to understand it instantly also sometimes is an impedance to learning. Sometimes you start enjoying learning, and then you don't understand certain thing. Instead of trying to mug it up, you want to go deeper, little lower, and then you come up, and then that's how you enjoy probably learning, and without any kind of rush or urge. If you start being explorative, your learning becomes a nice journey. So feel free taking that path when you're taking coding. In Python, should we learn Django framework? Not necessarily. Django framework is one kind of framework used for certain type of applications. Python, people used to do ML algorithms also. They used to write small scripts also. There are APIs also. You can write various type of things are possible. So depends on where you want to excel or learn, or attach Python into your resume. You start somewhere. There's nothing like like the movie Authority that is. So it is like there is not set thing to do this way only. You can start anywhere, you can reach anywhere, and feel absolutely free. Don't assume that it's all fixed in the fixtures, and this is the only way of learning in this way only. It's feel free to start that way. I started not in. I started my career in construction, engineering construction, and ended up in software. And I saw even more interesting career switches of many other people. So never think your current field is limiting you from thinking beyond. So be a learner, be an eternal learner, and then you'll enjoy it. Right? And what is the next question? Coding is done. Please share questions. I think we sort of covered all, I guess. Yeah, thank you so much. I hope my views are helpful. Yeah, feel free to reach out.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. Still, if anyone are having doubts, you can directly raise your hands and interact with sir, or else we shall wind up the session.
Yeah.
So yes, sir. I think we are done with all the questions today.
Thank you. And here is my number, actually. Yeah, great.
Yes, sir. So thank you one and all. Thank you for joining us today. Hope you have got the expected insights from the session today. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again for joining us. So let's wind up the session with the count of 3, 2, 1.